Hello, my name's Christine Armstrong and I'm the author of The Mother of All Jobs. And I have been asked the same question repeatedly this week, which is, if I have a small child at home with me and I need to work, what on earth can I do? I have been taking advice on this subject from Elaine, who is a Montessori teacher, and also Sarah, who's a child psychologist. And I wanted to consolidate some of their thoughts into a very, very short clip. And I'm illustrating it with Lucy, who is my 6-year-old. I know she's a bit older than this group, and some of you will be saying, oh, I couldn't do a puzzle like that at this point. But I'm just making the point, and I don't have a smaller child. And the point that I'm making is that this might be possible. Not that it will be. All children are different, and yours may not take to this. One of the ideas Elaine came up with was the idea of a combination of timetable, rituals, fixed points during the day, whether that's breakfast or outside activity or Joe Wicks or lunch or tea, combined with novelty, things that the children haven't seen for a while, new puzzles, games, ideas. And what she suggests is that we have a set of new or things they haven't seen for a little while. Very simple things, perhaps some Play-Doh, perhaps a little jigsaw, a bit of Duplo, maybe some water in 2 jugs that you pass between each other, and that every time you need to do a bit of work that you give them to them and hope that you might get a 15-minute span where they don't ask you a question, which is what I'm testing in this film. So far, so good. The second thing is to think about how you can use sleeps, of course, if you're lucky enough that your child still has a sleep during the day, mine do not, and also whether you can involve family or friends or other people who might do a Zoom call or a quiz or some other engagement with your child while you are on that all-important conference call. So for the full details of the ideas, I'm going to put an audio link to the conversation I had with Elaine, and I'm going to follow up with some specific ideas from Sarah about how you might use Zoom calls to entertain your children when you really have to get things done.
With regard to food and snacks and everything as well, in most preschool settings, they do this for themselves.
Okay.
So I would make sure things are accessible. Children love to disturb you on a conference call asking for a drink. They're desperate for a snack. They're starving, apparently, the 5 minutes you need. So leave things out where they can get to them.
Okay, so what sort of things would you suggest?
So if you're doing, like, for example, if it's pouring, like they can pour their own drinks, little jugs, if you have a little glass jug that they can use, a bit of weight to it is really good. Plastic, it's really difficult for them because when the juice comes out of it, obviously it gets really light and it goes everywhere. And then of course they're yelling because they've spilt it all over your carpet. And whatever you're happy to give them, milk, water, whatever is, you're comfortable, yogurt drinks in your house, leave it out on a little tray. On a table they can access, and you'll find if they can get their own drink, they don't need 15 and 45 minutes.
Funny that. Okay, because my kid's got this thing with the apple cutter. I want an apple cut by the apple cutter. She's just bullshitting me, isn't she?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because she can't use it. Okay.
Yeah, but that's great because then she gets 15 minutes of your time, right, while you come down and cut it. Another thing I'd say is have them chop their own fruit. Leave it out for them. Bananas are great ones. Soft fruits are fantastic. Peaches, strawberries, grapes, they can cut those in half with a blunt knife. Anything that they can chop and cut themselves. Oranges are great for peeling, takes a while, using the apple cutters for pears and apples. But what I will say is, when you chop the fruit, you need to eat it as well to show them that, yeah, you do. Yeah, I say this, 26 children in my classroom, Christine, 26 with snotty noses, chopping fruit, and then we all eat it together. I've seen a lot of people's playrooms where they have big, massive boxes full of all their toys. Children at that age, overwhelmed, cannot see it, don't know what to do with it. They'll just trash it, they'll tear stuff out, they'll throw up against the walls because they just see this kind of mess of color and it's very sensorial for them. My suggestion is small, minimal items, self-contained, that they can access. So even if the night before, you have a really important call at 10, get out 5 or 6 different like self-contained activities, whether that's a tray with some pouring activities for them to do, some fruit cutting that they can do, whether it's a little tray with a jigsaw, just one jigsaw, doesn't have to be 5, with all the pieces there so the child can complete the activity.
Nothing high control about you.
If it's a little Duplo activity, a Lego activity, the Octon, so any sort of building kit, it has to be complete. It has to be ready to use. If it's something they haven't used before, my suggestion is to spend a few minutes demonstrating how they could work with the material and then let them off to explore it for themselves. You can mix it up as well. So you could have maybe something interactive on YouTube. They've got some great dance jam sessions. They have other kind of activities, like they know loads of songs from school. Find songs that they know with actions to them. They will stand in front of it. You can do it with them, you know, a bit of bobbing up, you know, twinkle, twinkle. They do, you know, interactive bear hunts. You can find all of these things online. One blast of that, maybe at a different 10 minutes. What I find fantastic is they love listening to music. So they'll have a lot of things that they listen to in school. In Montessori, we'd often have some music in the background, calming, quiet music. They're doing Jollyphonics if they're at that stage. There's fantastic CDs with the Jollyphonic sounds that you can sing. We both know the songs, Christine.
We know the songs. We do. We've got 6 children between us, Elaine. We know the songs.
But they really love that. That feels familiar. It feels like their school day. It brings them back to that time when they're in school, they're happy, they're busy. So they really react to that well. What I find happens in a classroom, for example, where there's a number of them, that they're all matching. The noise level is matched. So if you and I are having a conversation and I start to talk louder and then you respond louder and I get more excited and suddenly the whole energy level in the room gets high, 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 high. I think at that point, if everyone's getting hysterical, I would be thinking about how can I bring this back down? Do I need to use this as my one outside exercise time? Is everything at the point where I need to just put the coats on and go on the bicycle or go on the scooter or bring them to the park with the football? You just need to make that call. If they've hit that fever pitch, I think I would be thinking, okay, how do I bring the energy back down?
Thanks very much for watching, and thanks so much, Elaine, for your top tips. We will be trying them. For the link to the full audio, either go to the comments or into the description. Thanks very much.